Before we get started, please go over to Amazon.com and grab a copy of my book, Education and Justice. If you have an African-American son in public school, you need this book because I teach you the many ways that public schools mistreat African-American boys and what you can do to help your son. So go over there and get your copy immediately. Recently, I saw some black conservatives make some comments about black Americans generally that I have some strong disagreements with. Now, I come at this from the standpoint, as I've said in many videos, first of all, I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I don't like calling myself liberal or conservative or progressive. What informs my politics is my faith in Christ, and understanding His Word. And His Word informs me that what I, as a Christian, should be promoting more than anything else is God's kingdom. God's kingdom, which is established on righteousness and justice, both. And both are really, really needed in the African-American community. And that's where we have created the organization AMCA, African Americans Mobilizing for Kingdom Advancement. So we're all about advancing God's kingdom of righteousness and justice. So what we do is we demand racial justice and we develop righteous living in the African American community. That's what our movement is all about. So don't categorize me as Republican or Democrat, liberal, conservative, libertarian, progressive, socialist, Marxist, none of that. Hey family, do you believe in the work we're doing? Does our content speak to you? Do you appreciate our in-depth legal analysis and political commentary from an African-American perspective? Do you believe it matters to our community? Then don't just watch from the sidelines. Please click that membership button and become a member of the 2% Club today. That's right, we need just 2% of our subscribers to become channel members. For just $4.99 a month, that's less than 20 cents a day, you'll help us keep creating powerful content that defends our democracy, demands justice, and develops a strong African-American community. But if you want more, at $9.99 a month, which is only 33 cents a day, you'll get access to exclusive members-only live streams, bonus content, and behind-the-scenes updates. And for just $14.99 a month, which is under 50 cents a day, our top-tier members get access to live Zone calls, strategy sessions, and a direct voice in shaping this movement. We're not just building a YouTube channel. Folks, we're building a movement based on righteousness and justice, just what our community needs in a time of disinformation and division. So if you believe in what we're doing, click the membership button and join now. Become a member of the 2% Club today. Let's build something powerful together. It is my faith that defines me. So therefore, sometimes what I believe and embrace is going to be what people would consider conservative, and sometimes what I believe and embrace will be what people consider to be progressive. But I am not an adherent of any of those camps. So I heard this African-American woman talk about black conservatism, and I had to respond. Okay, I had to respond. Some of the things that I believe from the Word of God leads me to say I do, or we do as a community, we do need to conserve some things, like conserve the strong black family that consists of a husband and wife, father and mother, raising children. we need to conserve that. We need more of that. All right? And so there are some other things, on the other hand, that we don't need to conserve. We need to progressively get rid of those things, like systemic racism and white supremacy. I don't want to conserve any of that. So it's not that I am a part of either of these groups. It's that these groups will embrace things that are consistent with my faith. You follow what I'm saying? All right, so now what I want to do is I want to play a clip of this young woman talking about black conservatism, and I think she's off base with this. All right, so I'm going to respond. So let's go and watch that clip, and I'm going to show you why, again, black conservatism is off in many ways, and so is black liberalism. All right? That's why I don't embrace either. Okay, I've been through all of that. Okay? All right, so let's go over here and listen to her comments here.
Really key issue in this is bucking the narrative of being a victim. I think that is so huge because I truly believe that there's an indoctrination in the Black community to, number one, always feel less than. I think there's a concerted effort to make us feel less than. And I think that they are constantly wanting to keep us in this cycle of feeling like a victim so that we stay dependent on the government for us to be able to live. I think they want us to feel like we're not able to thrive. And I think that the young Black conservatives are the ones that are really going against that narrative.
All right, so now let's go, and I want to respond to some of what she said, nearly everything that she said. I disagree with just about everything that she said, okay? So first, the notion that blacks suffer from a victim mentality is really a white supremacist stereotype and talking point. And unfortunately, many black conservatives have picked it up and started repeating it, weaponizing that disinformation. Because it's designed to do a couple of things. It's designed to silence us, and it's designed to shame us. That is, to stop resisting and defying white supremacy and systemic racism. But it's not going to work. It hasn't worked. It didn't work with our ancestors, and it's not going to work now because we know that there has been victimization. And as a practicing attorney, we use the word victim all the time in the practice of law. We can't get our clients compensation for their racial discrimination. We can't get them justice unless we prove they have been victimized. So another reason white conservatives don't want us talking about being victims is because it then entitles us to something they really don't want to pay: reparations. All right? All right. Secondly, black victimization is not a myth. It's not a myth. It's not a narrative. It's not indoctrination. We and our enslaved, segregated, subjugated ancestors are and were victims. Again, that's not a myth. That's proven. That's data. That's a part of the American story. That's history. And it's the reason why white conservatives are trying to wipe that history away. They don't want that taught in school. They don't want that taught in college. They want to get rid of that history. And so black conservatives, whether they know it or not, are helping white conservatives, white supremacists, erase history by calling our victimization a myth or narrative or indoctrination. I mean, there's just hard data, 250 years of slavery. That's not a myth. And no reparations. And they're fighting that, as I just pointed out. Another 100 years of Jim Crow apartheid that continued that subjugation, that oppression, that victimization. And then there's current systemic racism that is also well documented. So the evils of white supremacy and systemic racism are all around us. It's undeniable. Number 3, fighting against further victimization isn't evidence of a victim mentality. In other words, those of us who actively fight and defy white supremacy, racism, that does not evidence a victim mentality. In fact, it evidences the very opposite. It shows or displays or evidences a warrior mentality. You can't be a warrior and a victim. Yeah, I'm fighting back because I refuse to give into the victimization that they are trying to impose on us. So what you see from those of us who resist this every day in various ways, I do it in the courtroom, I do it through social media. Others do it through protesting, like my father. Never, he was an uneducated man. He would have never been able to do some of the things that I'm doing to resist white supremacy. But he did it every day by getting up and going to work and putting food on the table and dealing with that Jim Crow stuff he dealt with in his era by making sure he did everything he could to see to it that the generation following him were not victimizations of this anymore. And that's been the case with most black folks. All right? So it's not a victim mentality to resist white supremacy. It's a warrior mentality. Number 4, fighting further victimization doesn't produce government dependency. I heard her say something about government dependency. And that too is a stereotype. Because most blacks, even those who live in tough neighborhoods, are hard-working people. Get up every day and go do the back-breaking work. Get up every day and go do what they have to do to take care of their families. So this government dependency myth leaves out and omits the fact that most people who receive government assistance are whites, and many of them are rich, right? That corporate welfare, that white-collar welfare. And most of the blacks who receive any sort of government assistance are the working poor. The working poor. I did a video not long ago showing that of the 10 to 12 million blacks who receive Medicaid, those people, 90% of those people work or have a legitimate legal reason for not working, such as caring for a disabled loved one, etc. But the narrative that white conservatives put out there and their black conservative sycophants is that blacks are dependent on the government. And that's just a lie. Anecdotally, take my family, for example. My father never made more than $8 an hour my whole life. And not one time were we on welfare assistance. We didn't get not one penny from the government, not one. In no shape, form, or fashion. And food was always on the table. Lights were never out. We had clothes and so forth. We were poor as I don't know what. There's no doubt about that. But because we had a hard-working man in the family, we never needed government assistance. And that's not to shame anyone who does, because there are many, 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 many African-American people who work hard every day, but they just don't make enough money to pay for example, health insurance. And that's what the social safety network, that's what it's all about, to help those kind of people especially. All right? And then my final point here is, she said Black conservatives are bucking the victimhood narrative. Well, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. By denying Black victimization, what many Black conservatives are doing is absolving and furthering white supremacy, which makes white supremacists feel good when they have Blacks who are saying, oh, don't pay any attention to these people, to these Blacks out here fighting against systemic racism and white supremacy. They're just playing the victim card. That's what white conservatives want to hear from their Black sycophants. And that just continues, that absolves and it furthers white supremacy and systemic racism. So I don't see Black conservatives bucking a victimhood mentality. Again, I see them assisting, aiding, and abetting white supremacy. So that is my response to the things I heard this young woman say in this video. It's not an attack on her. It's just a rebuttal to what she said. I disagree with her. I disagree with her on that. All right. So I am Reverend and Civil Rights Attorney Augustus Corbett. Thank you for watching this video. And remember, as always, stay woke.